Welcome to the Intentional Man Podcast, a podcast that inspires and equips men to lead lives of intentionality and grow to their full potential. I'm your host, Jonathan McGinley, a life coach that helps men just like you create the life that you want and live a story of significance through my coaching and tools on intentionality. Thanks for joining, and welcome to the show. Welcome back to the Intentional Man Podcast. I am excited to be with you today. In the previous episode, Chris Bruno and I had a great conversation about preparing for the second passage of a man's life. And what he meant by this was that every man has this first passage where he moves from boyhood into manhood. And then Chris believes that there's a second passage where a man moves from manhood to being a sage, which is a wiser, older man helping younger men with their journeys through life. And it was a super interesting conversation. And Chris had a lot of unique thoughts and tools and insights on just how to spend your 20s, 30s, and 40s wisely in order to prepare well for the second half of life. And I took a lot away from the episode. It was a great conversation, and I would definitely highly recommend checking out the full episode if you haven't yet. But Chris mentioned that one of the main hindrances or problems that men face that can keep them from thriving going into their second half of life is this constant search for validation. And it's often very easy for us as men to search for validation in people or places, things, maybe just an identity that you had from the past. But typically none of those things like truly bring the validation that we seek. And what I'm meaning by validation is that we each want to know that we're truly a man, that our lives really matter, that we have something special to offer the world. And it's easy to project those questions out into the world, but put them in the wrong places. It's easy to take on masks or identities that others put on us in order to try to find validation. And what really stuck out to me in the conversation was when we talked about how we have the power through our actions and words to bring validation to others, that our words have life, that they can bring encouragement, like especially to those who didn't have a great father figure or another sage in their life to speak that validation into them. And I was really just kind of convicted, honestly, thinking back through the episode and really reflecting on it about how oftentimes I just miss great opportunities to build other men up and to bring them life and encouragement through my actions and words. But I was also just super inspired and hopeful, realizing just that our words do truly have the power to bring such life to somebody else. And so today, I wanted to just take some time to give 3 quick practical ways to start bringing more intentionality to your relationships with your friends and to those around you, and to start using your actions and words to bring the encouragement and validation that so many men are searching for. And I know for me to do this well, like I need to get highly intentional about it. It's not enough for me to just coast through each day and hope that I bring encouragement to others. It might happen here and there, and that's great, but I want to be a man that does this on a consistent basis. And I believe if you're here and you're on the show and you're listening, that you also have a desire to be a highly intentional man that's bringing life to those around you. And this takes work. It takes thought, it takes preparation. So that's what we're going to do today. So to get started in being more intentional in your relationships and really speaking life into others, I think you need to first get really clear on the kind of person that you want to be. And I know we've talked about this before, but I can't stress just how important this is. So step number 1, today, right now, whenever it is, ask yourself if there were 3 words that described how you want to interact with others, what would those words be? Or you could honestly just narrow it down to 1 word if you liked. 1 word that described how you want to be in your relationship to others. But think about how you would like to interact with people. How do you want them to feel after they are with you? What do you want them to believe about themselves? How do you want to be remembered? And when I did this exercise, my words were consistent, inspiring, and intentional. Fitting for this show. But I want to be the same person with whoever I'm with. And I want their experience with me to always be consistent. Like I don't want to be really encouraging one day and then just put people down the next day. So that's why consistent was really important to me. I want to do this over the long haul. Inspiring. Like I want to be inspiring. I want to bring the best out of people. I want to call out the gifts and the talents and the abilities that other men have. I want to see their potential and inspire them to pursue it. Like I want to speak in such a way that inspires people to be great. So that really was important to me. And then the last was I want to be intentional, and I want to think through how I can encourage people before I even see them. I want to bring intentionality to the different situations that I find myself in. Like I don't want to waste opportunities by coasting or by reacting. Like I want to be proactive and take advantage of the opportunities I have and make sure I'm thinking through how I can just show up in the best way possible before I even get into a situation. So those were my 3 words. And that's brought a lot of clarity to just the kind of person that I want to be. So I would just encourage you, take some time, do this today or push pause now, whatever it is, and think through the kind of person that you want to be and write those 3 words down somewhere. So once you got that, the second step that I just want to talk about today about being more intentional in your relationships and bringing encouragement and validation to others would be to start writing down the name of one person each day that you would like to encourage. This is seriously one of my favorite things to do. And I'm getting better at doing this on a consistent basis. I'm still working on just really doing it every single day. But add this into your morning routine. That's what I've tried to do now, and that's making me a lot more consistent with it. Add it into your morning routine, and it will instantly get you thinking about others and just living in a more intentional mindset. So before you start your day, write down the name of one person you can add value to. Then send them a text, a note, give them a call, a word of encouragement in person, any of those things. And I promise that this will be one of the most fulfilling things that you do and will be just an amazing blessing to the people around you. And I know like this can sound uncomfortable. Like sometimes as men, we don't always like showing our feelings in this sort of way. But like Chris and I talked about, every man is longing for this sort of validation. And like we have an amazing opportunity to speak words of life into someone else's life. And the cool thing is that you're going to undoubtedly find life yourself in the process. When you really actually do this and encourage somebody, I promise it will be incredibly fulfilling for you as well. So again, this doesn't have to be super complicated. This could be as simple as sending a text saying like, hey man, just wanted you to know that I really appreciate our friendship and that I'm praying for you today. Hope you have an awesome day. Could be as simple as that. But even just that could really just bless somebody. Let them know that you're thinking about them. Let them know that you appreciate them. And as you become more comfortable doing this, you can get a little more specific too. And when you send the text, or maybe then you start to move into actually doing this in person, to encouraging somebody face to face. But I love this. So step number 2 is start sending a word of encouragement to somebody each day. Just make it a part of your morning routine to do this. Okay, so then the third step to being more intentional in your relationships is something that I picked up from a guy named Brendon Burchard. And this is in his book, High Performance Habits. Highly recommend the book if you haven't read it. But he has an exercise that he calls release tension, set intention. And this is something I go through with a lot of my clients, and it is a game changer. But what this basically does is it keeps you highly intentional throughout your entire day. Because it's easy to start off the day intentional and just kind of lose it throughout the day. But this exercise kind of helps you avoid that. And how it works is that you get some sort of trigger in your life. So this could be every time you sit down at your desk, or every time you get in your car, or it could be that you set an alarm throughout different moments of the day, whatever it is, where you can have a consistent trigger. And when that happens, then you just stop for a minute. And the first part is to release tension. So what this means is just take a minute to breathe and just release any stress that you're feeling in that moment. Take time to just let it go and focus on the present moment. So that's release tension, just taking some time to kind of de-stress. Once you kind of feel calm and have released that stress, then you set your intention. And so this would be thinking about the next activity or the next meeting that you have, and then actually just really thinking about how you want to show up in that moment, how you want to show up in that meeting. Think about how you want to encourage people in that meeting or in that activity. Think about the 3 words that we came up with earlier and how you want to actually put those 3 words into action in this upcoming activity. And this exercise is a game changer. If you just did this on a day-to-day basis, you would take your intentionality to a whole new level. you'd become way more consistent in living a life that you want to live. I promise you, this is an amazing exercise. So I've recently started doing this and it's changed my life. Before each situation that I walk into, like I just want to take a quick moment to think about the kind of person that I want to be. And for me, again, that was consistent, inspiring, and intentional. So I think about how to be those three things to the people that I'm about to encounter. And I know when I don't do this, like I typically just go into autopilot and I miss a lot of great opportunities to bless and encourage people. I miss opportunities to be the kind of person that I want to be. So I'd really challenge you today to start implementing this practice. Find a trigger that will consistently remind you to stop for a minute, to release tension and set intention. I've actually been wearing my Apple Watch more recently, and I've just set alarms on it throughout the day that just remind me to do this. So there's alarms that are going off pretty much like every hour, and I just feel it buzz on my arm, and it just reminds me, okay, be consistent, be inspiring, be intentional. Think about the situation that you're in and think about how you're going to be those three things. And so for you, it could be alarms like that, could be just getting in your car, could be right when you sit down at work, whatever it is, just try it. And I promise that it'll be a great experience for you. So guys, remember that we have the words of life and we can speak encouragement into those around us. Like you can give the gift of validation, and what an amazing opportunity. And so to recap, I just wanted to give those three things on how to really be intentional in your relationships. First, take time to think through those three words that describe how you want to be in your relationships. 2, write down the name of one person each morning that you can intentionally encourage that day. And then 3 would be to find that consistent trigger in your day and then practice that exercise of releasing tension and setting intention. Do these 3 things and you will live a highly intentional life, and you're going to bless a ton of people around you. So I highly encourage you, give it a shot, or at least just pick one and start rolling with that. And you can add in the others as you go. But as always, I'd love to hear any of your thoughts or your experiences with these exercises. If you try them out and you're finding it's making a big difference, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Or if you have any questions or thoughts or feedback on anything, feel free to reach out on social media. I would love to hear from you. So with that, go live a life that you're proud of by living intentionally, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Intentional Man podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, and leave a rating and review. If you are someone who is looking to take your life to the next level, accelerate your success, and live more intentionally, I would love to help. Shoot me a text at 970-430-6085, and we can schedule a time to meet to discuss your vision and your goals. Again, that is 970-430-6085. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, build a life that matters by living intentionally.